I am Frau Blucher.
After you, Frau Blucher.
Please welcome the House Democratic leader and the first female Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi.
Well, here we go again. Nancy Botox Pelosi once again trying to push through another impeachment process against the president. Does anybody know how to push back on this old bag?
What about the COVID relief package?
Yeah.
That was held up for 8 months.
Not, but that was their obstruction. I understand this.
Well, wait.
But their obstruction.
Yours too.
Their obstruction.
No, yours too. Takes
No, it
two
wasn't
to-
obstruction.
You held out for 8 months.
No.
Leslie Stahl, 60 Minutes. Oh, baby. Not exactly what Nancy was prepared for, not exactly what she wanted to hear, and she doesn't get much pushback, but here and there, every once in a while, somebody finds the nerve to stand up to this old hag.
Cheers.
And it's not about me, it's about millions of Americans who can't put food on the table, who can't pay the rent.
And
who are
we
having
represent
trouble,
them.
who
And we
are
represent them.
Getting
And
by
we
on
represent
these
them.
long food
And we
lines that we're
represent
seeing.
them.
I know
we
you
know
are.
them.
I'm just saying.
We represent them and we know them.
As we
We
say,
know them. We represent them.
don't let the
Yes.
perfect be the enemy of the good, as they say
It is
here in
nowhere
Washington.
near perfect.
Madam Speaker.
Always the case, but we're not even close to the good.
All right, let's see what happens, because every day is critically, critically important. Thanks so much for
Thank you
joining
for your
us.
sensitivity to our constituents' needs.
I am sensitive to them because I see them on the street begging for food, begging for money. Madam Speaker, thank you
Have
so
you
much.
fed them? We feed them. We feed them.
We'll continue this conversation down the road for sure.
If you really want to know the facts about Nancy Pelosi, you've got to check out the channel here on YouTube, Mr. Reagan. Yes, just like the president, Mr. Reagan. He's got a great video just put out in the last week or so about the Pelosi crime family. Literally, her dad, her family, mafia. You need to watch that commentary. So, Nancy Pelosi, who has rules for thee that are not for me. She can eat ice cream while you are waiting desperately for some help, some relief, so that you could go buy groceries. And she can eat that $20 a pint private label chocolate ice cream out of her $12,000 refrigerator because you pay her salary. But somehow she has become a multi-millionaire. How is that possible if her only gig is, working in Washington, in Congress? Can you say insider trading? Can you say graph? Can you say quid pro quo? Can you say access for sale? Let me tell you how Washington operates, because people look at a fossil, a walking fossil like Nancy Pelosi, who, and can't talk to, we get like her false teeth are going to fall out. I think that's why she wears the mask all the time. Has nothing to do with health and safety about COVID. No. I think the mask is there to help hold her dentures in place, because when her mask is down, she's constantly doing this stuff with her mouth. And I don't care if people pull down statues. But Madam Speaker, these are this is government property, and people are doing this in the dark of night and without any type of legislative approval. Well, people are going to do what they do. That was her response to the rioting and the protesting happening over the summer. But now, some dude and wearing a buffalo helmet, all of a sudden, we've got to start calling Trump supporters domestic terrorists. Give me a break. This is just such phony, fake, fraudulent bullhock. But why has Nancy Pelosi been able to maintain power? I'm going to tell you the real secret how Washington works. Now we're going to skip on to another mafia wannabe, Governor Cuomo of New York. Well, Nancy Pelosi runs Washington the way Washington operates. And it has nothing to do with mutual respect, has nothing to do with give and take and compromise. It's called blackmail. You heard me. Blackmail. The people that are there, if you've ever seen the Tom Cruise movie, The Firm, Tom Cruise, young hotshot lawyer, gets a job in one of the most exclusive legal firms. I think it took place in Memphis, but it's been so long since I've seen the movie. Maybe it was New Orleans, but I think it was Memphis. Gets this dream job for a young lawyer. I mean, he is going to just be making bank. And very early, he gets, well, shall we say, a little marital infidelity that the partners just happen to catch on film, that is then used to blackmail him to make sure that he does what he's told for the firm. And he finds out that the firm is really there to help launder money for the mafia and protect the mafia. And so that he never tries to turn on them or, bring justice in. Well, they've got dirt on him. They control him through blackmail. Well, that's exactly what Washington, D.C. does. I told you when Jeff Sessions first recused himself, way back at the very beginning of the whole Mueller witch hunt, and he recused himself immediately, and he never could offer a coherent reason as to why. And constitutional experts on both the left and right said, well, there was really no reason for Jeff Sessions to recuse himself. I guarantee you, I don't know what it was, but they had something on him. I don't know if it was him getting naked and doing nasty things to barnyard animals. I don't know, but they had something on him that he didn't want anyone to know about. And you better believe they've done the same thing to William Barr. These swamp dwellers, they've got filth and crapola on each other. And don't you just love to hear them talk about, we just can't tolerate any more Donald Trump. He's incendiary. Really? Because we've got movie stars that have talked about blowing up the White House, wanting to punch him out, wanting to kill him. What's her name? Kathy Griffith holding, a severed Donald Trump head for a, quote, comedy photo op. And Donald Trump's the one who's dangerous? And he's crude, and he's rude, and he's vile, and America's been so divisive. America was divisive before Donald Trump. And let me just go ahead and state the obvious here. Donald Trump is not the creator of crassness and division. You ready for this, boys and girls? He is the result of it. Ta-da! Netflix has a brand new miniseries on called The History of Swearing. Because, apparently we need to know where, cuss words came from. And of course, the whole reason they're doing this is twofold. One, they're basically trying to say that, foul language is not a problem. And we got to get over this Victorian being uptight over this kind of stuff. That's right, because we ought to hear 5-year-olds, come in and call their mom a mother effer. The other part of that was back in the 90s, they started putting parental warning labels on CDs, rap CDs in particular. And of course, in this documentary, you have some black advocates who are saying that was white racism. Well, let's set the record straight. First of all, it was Tipper Gore, wife of Al Gore, then Vice President of the United States, working side by side with Bill Clinton. And they put those warning labels on so that parents could know, hey, some of these rap songs are going to use language and deal with subjects that you may deem inappropriate for your 12-year-old. I'm sorry, but that actually sounds kind of reasonable to me. Is that just because I'm white? I don't believe so. I am sure that there are Hispanic, Asian, and black families that don't want young kids exposed to that either. And apparently, according to this one advocate, using foul, nasty language is part of the black culture, and it is a rite of passage. Okay? Whether or not that's true or not. The whole idea that you get upset that Donald Trump is rude and crude, and then turn right around and the same Hollywood elite then produce a full-blown multi-million-dollar budgeted documentary to prove it is okay and we need to be a profane society. And actually, this was their conclusion, makes us healthier. And then they complain about Donald Trump. You know, this is like people who played with radioactivity and then couldn't understand why they got cancer. Hello? Donald Trump is simply a reflection of what they stirred up and created. That said, Governor Cuomo has announced in his State of the State address to New Yorkers, we got to open the state back up. We're going bankrupt. You think? They are $15 billion in the hole. I'm actually surprised it's that low, and I'm sure it's actually deeper than that. Now, of course, he's counting on Uncle Joe to cut him some checks. I'm hoping that doesn't happen, but, you know, it's Uncle Joe coming in. But he did say, you know, we were hoping to get everybody vaccinated before we open up restaurants and ball stadiums and got things back to normal. But we're going broke here. We're just... Oh, you're going to do what I have been advocating since day one with all of this, with every state. If we could get lying Dr. Fauci Stein and the CDC to actually give us accurate information that, first of all, testing positive for COVID doesn't necessarily mean you've got it. You can test positive and not actually have the infection. This is why what they call false positives, all these people that test positive say, I have no symptoms. You can have the viral exposure in you. That doesn't necessarily mean you are going to get sick or cause anyone else to get sick either. But yet every day they drive this drumbeat of 10,000 more cases, 15,000 more cases across the country. No, it's 15,000 more people tested positive. We know that in the very beginning, they way over-exaggerated the death toll. So the 300,000 plus, not even close. To be quite honest with you, I would be shocked if we've even seen a grand total of 100,000 people who have died from COVID where it's just COVID. In fact, according to the CDC over the summer at that time, when they were pressed and we got a rare moment of honesty, basically it was at that time about 6,000 people that died just of COVID. It wasn't COVID plus something else. It was just COVID. Michael Savage, before he left the airways, reminded everyone that at one time he was an epidemiologist. And he said, I was wondering one day if I were still in the lab, still working in medicine, still working in science, I would want to know, well, what is it that people who have something like diabetes or heart disease, that if they get COVID, they are more prone for this to be a fatal problem for them? What is it about those diseases of heart disease and diabetes? Because my kids were telling me, Dad, you got to take extra care of yourself because of your diabetes, and I have lived normally. And Michael Savage came up with something brilliant. He said, I don't even know if this is right. He says, I'm just asking out loud and wondering why Dr. Fauci and the so-called medical experts aren't actually studying any of this. He said, is it really that COVID mixed with heart disease or diabetes is lethal, or is it the medication people take for heart disease and diabetes that if they then contract COVID and their medication become a lethal combination? Bum, ba-dum, bum. Brilliant question. Legitimate question. What's being done about it? Well, Fauci has no time because in between TV interviews, he's off getting measured for his next handmade custom suit. And we get lied to, and we get herked and jerked around, and it's just beyond unconscionable. But now Cuomo says, we need to get back to some kind of normalcy. Yes. Give people facts, real facts, and then let them assume adult responsibility and go live their lives. Hey, welcome to what we used to call free America, Governor. But you and your side, between censoring our free speech, silencing us, removing us, putting us in masks and under mandates, we really are starting to look like China. We are starting to sound like China with a controlled media state. Well, after all, Beijing Biden is just a couple of weeks away from making it official. Hey, that's it for this rant. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you give us a thumbs up and a like. Smack the bell, click the word all to get notification of my next rant.